Hi everyone. So let's discuss about the functions. So what is function? Function is, let's say, you can say like one of the very basic building block of any programming language. So now in this course, from the Dart programming perspective, we are going to learn about the function. So mainly we'll focus on creating and defining function and how to call those function in this video. And in the next video, we'll see somewhat advanced feature of this function like optional argument or a default argument. Those things we'll see into next video. So let's see what is function. So till now we have already used one function, and one of the standard function and the very first function we have used in this course like a print function. So what is the advantage this print function will give? So let me just run it. So as soon as I run it, it will print the hello as output. So for us, it's just a one line statement that print this particular set of character on our IO devices. But eventually at internal state, there are a lot of things are going on because this we have supplied from this IDE directly this particular function to the Dart virtual machine, and that Dart virtual machine has eventually called to some sort of system level call, which eventually call to some sort of IO device, and it has printed this hello. So there are a number of operations are going on in sequential, but we didn't take care as a developer all those steps. So print function has already taken care those steps for us. So we just need to call this print, and eventually all things internally will goes on, and we do not need to worry about anything. Same way, you can define your own function also, and you can write all those sets of logic inside that particular function, and you can call as many number of times as you want those particular function. Now, how is it useful? So your code reusability will increase. So let's say you are working on some very big project. So you just cannot write like thousands of line of code in just one single main function. So better than writing everything into one single main function, you divide your small chunk of code into one particular function, and then you can just call those functions, so you don't need to write those functions again and again and again. Okay, let's say you have been given one task, and you want to perform those tasks multiple times, and you don't know when you want to perform those tasks. So first you will define, let's say, task 1, and then let's say task 2, then let's say task 3, then task 4. Okay, so you have defined all those 4 tasks, so your job has been done. But it may happen that in future again you need to perform all sets of all same exact task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4 again and again. So in that case, better to club all those things into one particular function, and you can call those functions again and again. Okay, so let's define our custom function so you will get a more idea, and those who have already a programming background, they can understand it very easily. So let me just remove it, and let's create a very simple function. So this is the end of our main function. So outside of main function, we'll create one function. So let's give the name, let's say we'll give the name like a test. Okay, and I'll give the my test. So after my test, there is a one close parenthesis, and then your body of this function will start. So inside the body, you can write the actual statement what you want to write. So let's say I'll write like I am inside the function print, let's say Dart. Okay, so I have written a 2 print statement, and those 2 print statement, let's say I want to repeat again and again. So rather than writing those 2 print statement here, I can just simply call this my test. So this is like a calling of this particular function, and this is, you can say, like a definition of your function. So let me just run it. So I am inside the function, and this is Dart. I can again call it. So 2 times I am calling, so it should print 2 times both the things. Now let's add some more complexity to this particular function. So our function is not returning anything. Let's return something from our function. So let me just return, let's say, returning from my function kind of one string. So return, I'll return just simple string. So now it will do another one task, that it will return this particular string to this particular function. So let me just run it. Okay, so nothing happens the same way it was working earlier, because whatever the return output of this particular function, we are not grabbing into any particular variable. So let's grab it into, let's say, string. I'll just take it into my var variable, and let's just print my var, and let me just run it. So now you can see when we call this particular function my test, the control will go here. I am inside the function. So it has printed I am inside the function, and it has printed dot, and after that it has returned this particular string, simple string returning, and those particular string we have grabbed into this particular variable my var, and then I am printing this particular variable. So let's say after doing some operation, you want to return some variable to your original main program from where you call this function. So you can use such a kind of return statement, and you can do it. Now this function is like you can say like a very much static in nature. It is not doing something special, so you cannot control this function from the outside. It has just written a 3 statements, so 2 print statements, so it will just print that 2 particular statement. It will return this static you can say very constant string from here. Now instead of that, I want to just control from the outside. I want to pass some parameter to that particular function, and based on those parameter I want to print something else every time. So how we can do it? So that is called as a parameterized function. So first earlier we have just defined a simple function, and then we have returned something from the function. Now we are going to pass some variable into function. Okay, so let's say I'm going to pass here, let's say I'll pass my name, let's say Ankit. Okay, currently it is giving error because this particular function is not accepting anything. So let's define that particular, let's say I'll just give name like S1. Okay, so now you can see the error has gone. Now I am passing this Ankit, and I am grabbing this particular Ankit into this particular variable S1. Now I can use those S1 function inside this function. So wherever I want to use, let's say I want to print one more statement. Let's say hello, and then S1. So I'm just removing this part. Okay, so let's just run it and see what happens. So now you can see I am inside the function, and then it has printed hello Ankit, because the Ankit I have passed it from here. Now let's say instead of Ankit I'll just pass dot, so it should print a hello dot. So this way from the outside of your function also you can control your function by passing the variable number of arguments. So you can pass many arguments also. So instead of just passing one argument, you can just do the comma separated, and let's pass the another one, let's say Ankit, and I'll just do it here string S2. So now instead of just string and string, you can pass even integer, even double, or any other data type, or any other even a complex object also you can pass it here. But the idea behind that, we have seen the 3 major version of this function definition and how to call this particular function. So earlier the very plain function we have defined, so there we didn't return anything, or there is no input argument we have supplied. Then we have returned something, so those things we have grabbed into this particular string variable, And at the end, we have seen the third version of this particular function, that we have passed the external argument. So this particular Dart and Ankit, we have passed into this particular two variable of this particular function, and those two variable we have used inside the function. So we can control this function by such a kind of parameterized argument. So this is the three version we have seen about the how to define a function and how to call the function. So I am finishing for this particular video. In the next video, we'll see about how you can make such a kind of parameter optional. So sometimes you want to pass or sometimes you do not want to pass. So how you can make those particular parameter optional, and how you can make the parameter value as a default value. So those things we'll see into next video.